Okay, perfect. We're back. We've been traveling over the Merry Seas, having a great time, and we're with a new guest today. So let them introduce themselves and tell us something about where they are right now. So Marie, introduce yourself.
So I'm Marie Plessz. I'm a sociologist. I'm French. I work in Paris. I'm a member of the Institute for Agronomic Research, which is now the Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environmental Studies. It's a huge multidisciplinary institute in which we are maybe 30 sociologists. But I'm working with other sociologists in Paris and in Am so this is where I am right now.
Excellent. And what do you do?
I am quitting a very interesting position as the head of a master's of quantitative sociology, and I'm just ending this position right now. I am soon going to start on a more administrative position as a co-head of the social science department in my institution. And in terms of research, I am working on the consumption of ultra-processed food in relation with cooking practices and social class.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I'm going to hand over to our resident pirate, Ignas.
Yes, I'm the modern day pirate on this ship, carrying the banner of radical transparency. So I want to know everything about you, basically. So please tell me, where did you first encounter theories of practice?
I don't remember exactly the year. I would say it was between 2010 and maybe 2011. I would say something like that. And it was through Tali Katzgero. We met her in Paris. We wanted to discuss a very early draft of one of our first papers with theories of practice, and there was no theories of practice in it at that time. And Tali told us on such a topic, it was about food consumption and environmental concerns and prescriptions. She said, on such a topic, you cannot just ignore theories of practice. So maybe you don't want to use it, but at least you have to acknowledge it. Now, now it's something in the field. You cannot just seem to ignore it. And so we went back in our offices and we said, but what is this thing? And we started reading papers. And this was how afterwards we wrote the first review of theories of practice in French with Sophie Dubuisson. Yes, so this is how it started.
And what attracted you to theories of practice?
I think it two things. In terms of inside sociology, what attracted me is that in France, I think we have a very strong, a lot of researchers, especially qualitative researchers, but also researchers in mixed methods with sometimes very strong quantitative skills, are doing some kind of empirical practice sociology. So they have their approach of sociology is very consistent with the theories of practice. It's just that the theory is not explicit. So typically they consider that what they studied, they have to take into account how the actors define it and how norms come into it. And that the study of this phenomena, typically breastfeeding practices, this study must be complete and include how people define it, who is defining it, what struggles come around, how it's defined, are there good ways and bad ways to breastfeed, etc., etc. And so this was very compatible with theories of practice. And I was like, this is my feeling was that what theories of practice is the backbone, the theoretical, philosophical backbone of this a methodological empirical approach that the French have. And so my French colleagues are not as enthusiastic as I am because they have read Bourdieu so much. They think, okay, we have Bourdieu. Why do we need theories of practice? But I think it still brings something, and it helps when you publish a lot in English, well, to talk with colleagues across Europe. It's a common language now. And the second thing that attracted me is that, as I said, I work in an interdisciplinary institute. In my research unit at that time, there were mostly economics. And we had constant discussions with the economists about your theory of action. What is your theory of action? But why do people do things? We economists, we have this very strong model of why people do things. It's because that's what they prefer and they make choices, etc., etc. And I have only very empirical arguments to oppose to that. And I found that theories of practice is a way to say, well, now I have a theory of action, and this is a theory for sociology. And it also helps when you speak with biologists or with geographers, and they are looking for a theory of action for a tiny part of their model, and they go for the standard actor with who has preferences and looks for what is consistent with their preference. And I said, you don't need this. You just say that they have practice and they adopt the practice, period. And I have a theory to say that now.
Very interesting. And what ideas are you working with currently in your current research?
I think one of the things that I'm interested in now is the link between theories of practice and quantitative techniques of data analysis. So typically, I think that there's a very interesting way of using regressions in connection with theories of practice. And it's interesting because it bypasses all the debate about causality. So let me explain. Currently, when you do a regression to explain, I don't know, why people purchase ultra-processed food, an economist or a sociologist who had an econometrics course will come and say, this is not causal. There is endogeneity or whatever. And they urge you to do more technical models to solve the problem of causal identification. And my point is, if you move out of this question of causality, and you admit that this is not the point, but that purchasing ultra-processed food is one practice, and maybe cooking is a second one. And let's see if these practices go along, if they are associated, linked. And this is exactly what regressions do. They tell you if there is a link between these practices, net after discounting the effect of age and other variables that are confounding factors. So I think there's a very promising way of using quantitative research, quantitative tools with practice theories here.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm an anthropologist, as you can tell from the hat, and I'm interested in asking you about the kind of tribes you belong to. But before I do that, I'm quite curious as to what you were just saying, especially about the economists and about the kind of whether it's actually consistent to work with practice theories and fixed variables of any kind in your sort of mixture of regression, because isn't the problem still a problem framed in terms of why do people, individuals, do what they do, which is perhaps not, or at least you need further work, or do you need further work to frame that as a kind of in a practice theoretically compatible way. So my question really is, how do you put those pieces together? And then how do you do that when you're talking to economists?
Okay. So the first question, I think, might be connected to the fact that when you do regression, basically you just have individuals.
Yeah.
And individuals doing cooking and purchasing, typically.
Whatever, yeah.
Whatever. My answer would be that I don't think that quantitative analysis on surveys whose statistical individuals are always only about individuals. And so my strategy is twofold. First, typically when I'm working on this ultra-processed food study, I have information on the rest of the households. I have information on both partners cooking, and I'm looking for this kind of information. So I'm opening the box of where the individual is, in which context, in which environment, who he lives with, maybe how he negotiates cooking in the household. Of course, I don't have this level of details because I just have a few variables, but I try to use them in a clever way, let's say. So typically, I use the household budget surveys, and in the French household budget surveys of 2016, there's a host of variables on household cores as to everyone older than 15 in the household. So you can enrich the analysis and be a little bit less mechanistic, let's say. And the second aspect of my strategy is that, is that I read a lot of qualitative research.
Mhm.
And so I even if I don't even when I don't do mixed methods in a project, I consider myself as a quantitative researcher who always needs qualitative research.
Yeah.
And so I don't do it myself, but I use it a lot.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, there's still probably some arguments to be had, but not in this little port call, about how you follow changes in eating, and can you follow changes in eating beyond the... But anyway, let's not go there. What I'm interested in, with my hat on, actually, is do you feel like you're working on your own, or do you feel like you're part of a wider group of people working on practices? Because you mentioned where you work, and you've mentioned European networks and so on. So what kind of circulation of ideas are you part of?
I have I would say I have a local group of peers.
Yeah.
Well, my co-authors, mainly Sophie Dubuisson-Kellier and Séverine Gaujard. We've been working together for 15 years now, and we it's a very comfortable work relationship.
Right.
And we exchange a lot of ideas about practice theories and what is it useful for, and when is it maybe not so useful. Oh, I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
No, it's not. So that's the first local group. And in this group, we also discuss about theories of practice in the French context, which, as I said, is
it's a bit different. Yeah.
It's a bit different, yes, because my colleagues, they have read Bourdieu, but they have also read Latour, and often they consider that you cannot put Bourdieu and Latour in the same sentence. That's just nonsense. I was raised like this. And my larger group would be a research network on consumption at ISA. I go to every conference, and I have
meet people there. Yeah,
I meet a lot of people there. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so you're part of a map of practice theory, or at least I hope you are, and you've had a look at the map. And is there anybody else on the map that you would like us to visit? Somebody maybe that you know already, or that you don't know, it doesn't matter. We're on this boat and we're traveling around, so we can go anywhere.
Okay, so someone who is already on the map, or someone that you could add?
We can add people. This is quite a good way of adding people. Yeah.
Okay. I have thought of Stefan Wallen in Germany. We worked a lot about time and quantitative analysis and practice theories with him. And well, there are
Do you
a lot
know
of
if
people.
he's on the map?
I don't think he is right now. I haven't found him.
Okay.
But I think he should be.
Send us the details and we'll get in touch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Send me the details, actually.
Okay, I will.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll see where we go with that. And then the next and the last question. As we go on our travels, we're collecting souvenirs, and it really doesn't matter what you have, but it would be very nice to take something from Paris with us and from our little chat with you.
Sure.
So do you have a souvenir for us?
Oh, I have a gift. I don't know if it's a souvenir, but I think it's very important to have a notebook on a trip. So I wanted to give you a notebook. Okay. And so I took a picture from my own notebook that I can send you.
Lovely. Okay, well, also send us that. And that's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on practice theory.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.